Hurricane Milton was mostly a miss for Disney World and Universal Studios in terms of big damage, but it was not the most likely scenario. We're lucky that it is the case. But both Universal Studios and Disney have a lot to learn, especially in the way that they handled their employees and the guests. Folks, we're here to tell you there were major errors, and we're happy that it did not come back to haunt either of the parks. Hello folks, welcome back to the happiest place on YouTube. We're happy to have you here as we continue to dissect the tourism industry as well as theme parks in a way that you simply cannot find anywhere else. Today we're talking about how Disney and Universal made a huge mistake leading into Hurricane Milton, and we are so thankful that it did not come back to bite them big time, because it would have been the employees paying the price. Now, you might not know about what we're going to talk about, and that's why it's so important, because we want these companies to adjust for next time so that if there is a worst case scenario, we don't get into a situation where people are suffering. We want to avoid that. That could have happened, and it was a little bit derelict the way that they handled all of it. We'll explain, folks, as we get ready to dive in. Consider clicking that like button, and here we go. We want to give everybody an idea of what it was like at the parks today, so we're going to go to blogmickey.com for that, and we'll let you hear what it was like in Magic Kingdom today as they prepared to close down, and then that will lead us into our very first story as we cover this hurricane better perhaps than even the Weather Channel. No, we kid. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Unfortunately, due to impending inclement weather, the Magic Kingdom Park will close today at 2 p.m. Once again, due to impending inclement weather, the Magic Kingdom Park will close today at 2 p.m. We apologize for the inconvenience and hope you enjoy the rest of your day at the Magic Kingdom.
All right, so that is again brought to us by Blog Mickey. We want to thank them for doing such a fantastic job of their coverage. As we're watching this, though, panel, I want to bring to your attention something that I think is that Disney World and Universal Studios made the decision to keep their cast members inside the parks until 2 p.m. if you're working at the Magic Kingdom and some other theme parks, as well as Disney Springs. And that's because they let guests in today, and those guests stayed until 2 p.m. As you can see, there were a few guests there. Ponchos necessary. The problem with this, of course, is that then cast members don't get to leave just immediately as soon as the guests do. And guests don't always leave exactly at closing, although I am sure they were promptly pushed out. But I'm thinking that cast members, especially at Magic Kingdom, because of how long it takes to leave, some of these people were put getting back to their homes very late. And many of these cast members, by the way, may live in Osceola County, which is one of the counties in which Walt Disney World exists. Osceola County had a mandatory stay-in-place, shelter-in-place order from the government starting at 8 p.m. Well, that's only a 6-hour difference between when Disney sent guests home and when there was a mandatory government-ordered shelter-in-place put in place. And so to me, that's a real problem that Disney put it this close, and Universal Studios. Neither company gets off the hook here. I'm worried that Disney made this decision to try to salvage their stock for the month of October because theme park attendance has been drastically down. And so they were wanting to get one more day before they have to close. And I think this was a very poor decision. I want to go to Lorena first. Lorena, what do you think about this idea that the theme parks did not consider their cast members and employees and just say, you know what, we're not going to be open on Wednesday because these people need to take care of their homes, their families, and do the things they need to do in preparation for the hurricane?
I think it's an extremely bad look. Just to preface this with, I've spent actually 2 hurricanes at Walt Disney World, and there wasn't a mandatory shelter in place or anything at the time. So the parks were open pretty much as usual. But with a storm like this, and especially when you talk about the cast, a good percentage of the cast members living in Osceola County, a lot of cast members live in Kissimmee, and Kissimmee is in Osceola County. And like you were saying, when the park closes, people don't leave right away. Usually they'll stay there up until they get kicked out, which I think is like an hour and a half that transportation will be open. by the time everything's secured and the cast members do what they have to do, not to mention a lot of the roadways are clogged way more than they normally would be. Even with the governor putting making all the tolls free and everything. But if you have to go on 192 from the parks to where you live, that road's like mobbed. So I think it's a really bad look, considering how many things were closed today, how many retail shops and everything were closed today. They really just should have been closed completely today.
Absolutely. Folks, we're going to bring on another panelist who is, well, you'll clearly see that he is dealing with the weather in just a moment. But folks, as we get ready to bring that panelist on, I do want to apologize. There may be times during this live stream that we do have some audio or graphics issues. And given what's going on the East Coast, you can understand why some of those issues may arise depending on who it is and all of that. So we just do apologize if you have any audio issues that you're listening to. Stick with us and we'll get through those. But folks, let's bring on right now to the panel Ron E. Bradley. And Ron, just for the purposes of people to see what's going on, I'm going to full screen you. Is that okay?
And I'll see if I can put my camera. I'm in Orlando. I'm about 20 minutes from Disney World. It is, you can see with my hair, it's just basically you can hear the wind. Let me see if I can turn my camera around to
Oh, wow. That's a great shot, Ron. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
yes,
boy.
that's so, folks, this is about 20 minutes away from Walt Disney World Resort and Universal Studios, SeaWorld, and so much of the tourism that's so important to Central Florida and Florida, well, really the United States at this point. I mean, this is the nation's playground. Ron, as you've got the camera showing us what you're seeing, one of the things that we've been talking about has been the fact that Disney and Universal Studios did not close their parks until 2 p.m. today. That meant that cast members and workers did not get to go home to their families often until 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or later. There was a mandatory shelter in place put in place by Osceola County at 8 p.m. Some of these folks had to rush home to meet the government demand that they lock the doors and hide in place from the hurricane. Ron, what do you make of the idea that these companies may have really screwed this up by not giving their employees more time to prepare? We'll see if Ron.
SeaWorld closed. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, SeaWorld closed all day today. Gatorland closed all day today. There's no reason for Universal or Disney to have been open at all, in my opinion. I have a lot of friends that are cast members. I saw a lot of Facebook posts going, I can't believe I have to work today. I have to work till 3, and I'm supposed to be sheltered in place at 3. A lot of things like that. It was, I don't think, wise on the part of Disney, especially the way the storm is tracking and wobbling and very unpredictable. There is a certain level of predictability, and there's a lot of unpredictability. As you can see right now, the winds are picking up, and there's no control over that. I will be getting myself inside, but it's fairly safe where I am right now. The winds are maybe 20, 25 miles an hour. But they will pick up a lot over the next few hours here.
So we anticipate that those winds are going to approximately triple over the next hours, and that's very unfortunate that that's going to happen. Ron, we'll come back to your feet in just a moment. We want you to get back inside where you can be what should we say, free from the rain for a little bit. We'll let you get unsogified. Marvin, you could maybe tell us when did you notice the weather really making a turn in Orlando? We're nowhere close to the worst of it, but give us an idea of, on the cast members and the employees, how long did they have from the time they left at 3 or 4 o'clock until things started looking much less pleasant?
Well, I mean, the rain has been pretty steady all day where I am, and that's about 45 minutes away from the parks area. And yeah, around the afternoon was when it started to kick into high gear. It was when you could start hearing it just by being inside the house, banging, slapping against the window or whatnot. The fact that they were, and the other thing that you have to point out for these poor people that had to go to work today, gasoline right now is very scarce around these parts. If you are so you have to have a full tank of gas in order to be able to survive the coming week. And these people, a lot of them had to commute to work and commute back, and there was no gas to refill up their tanks. So, Disney has really put its employees at a huge disadvantage right now when it comes to dealing with the aftermath of this hurricane as well.
Absolutely. And folks, we've got another look here at Epcot. You're looking directly at Spaceship Earth from the boardwalk, and we want to thank again Park Pass TV for providing this, and they're doing a phenomenal job with providing coverage of Disney. And we can see that the weather has definitely deteriorated even since we began 15 minutes ago. One of the things that's going to be very interesting to watch in a little while, for those of you who are Disney World nerds, we're going to be watching to see. I don't anticipate that we're going to see any pyro at all, but we will be watching to see, does Spaceship Earth do its computer-timed transformations for the fireworks show that is always scheduled at 9 p.m., or will it just continue to do its typical colors? Now, some people out there may be shocked to see that Spaceship Earth is featuring its lighting package tonight, but folks, all of that, again, is computerized, and there's just not many people who are in the parks. I would anticipate that there are very few even security guards tonight watching over the parks. This is going to be the ride-through cast members only, and most of those individuals are either sheltered in very secure interiors, or they're in hotel rooms waiting for this to pass. So almost nobody in the parks, almost all the stuff going on in the parks right now would be running on automated systems, including the Spaceship Earth lighting package. All right, Lauren, any thoughts on that? You folks out there may not know what you specialize in and what you do for a day job, but your thoughts on how these systems work when there's nobody really behind the helm?
Well, it's like any other kind of an automated system. Once it's set up, and presuming that nothing has been tampered with, it should just go. But I mean, the real question here is, how secure are the lights and everything? I imagine there's probably some damage that could be sustained there, but I also imagine if that happens, it's probably easily replaceable once things die down and you start getting infrastructure back into place.
Absolutely. And I would say too, if the lights go out, well, the lights are going to be there physically anyway. The only thing that sort of surprises me, and it looks like we've temporarily lost Ron, hopefully we'll get him back soon. The only thing that sort of surprises me on having the lighting packages going on the parks is that it would indicate if there's damage that is done, and you would think that Disney would not want that to be visible. So a little bit surprising there. Lorraine, are you at all surprised at running lighting packages? We may not have Lorraine at the moment. Marvin, your thoughts?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'd muted the wrong thing. No, I'm not surprised, and here's the reason why. Last week, I did a live stream from Epcot, and it was pouring down rain exactly as it is now, and the fireworks show went off. The fireworks show kept going. The lights on the Geosphere over here kept going. They didn't change it at all. So no, I'm not surprised.
I'll give you one better, Pro. For years and years and years, the music and the lights were still automatically working at River Country when it was closed and desolate. It was like you see some of those urban explorers going.
It was actually creepy, wasn't it?
Yeah,
people would try to get close.
Music.
Yes. Oh, that's a great point. That is a great point, Marvin. Now, Discovery Island, not the same, and we don't recommend anyone try to go find their way onto Discovery Island. No. Nor do we recommend that anyone do their behind-the-scenes theme park trekking on a night such as this. That would be an especially awful idea. Lou, talk to us a little bit about what you think in terms of Disney's preparations for the hurricane. We've talked about the cast members and their need to get home, but how well do you think Disney's prepared for this one? It's one of the first times we've ever seen the parks actually possibly taking a direct hit from a hurricane.
Well, the first question you have to ask, you mentioned earlier that they might have decided to stay open for the half day today to try and offset the financial losses of what's going to happen over the next few. That's bad management. First of all, if you have to have an excuse for why you didn't have a great quarter, this is swell. Well, we had a hurricane. It's a lot better than it's too hot in summer for people to go to theme parks, right?
Absolutely.
So I think, in other words, I think that's baked into the cake as far as the financials are concerned. But secondly, this thing today of calling people in for the half day or whatever it turns out to be, that's really foolish. That's really all the reasons that you've given already about their safety and concern. If they're staffed for a full day, because if we follow the same logic of, well, it's automatic like the lights, there couldn't have been that many people going today. Could there? It's got to have been,
also,
even in a time when they've been having a lot of off days, a particularly low cast count or audience count.
I'm wondering what they did. Like, did they charge all those people that went today for a full day at the Magic Kingdom?
Oh, sure.
Of course.
And if
2:00?
they were, but it works both ways. If I were a guest who got charged full and then told, "Oh, go home at 2:00," I'd be upset. But I would say to them back, "You mean you really thought everything was going to be as normal when you and everybody in the world knows this storm is bearing down on us?" So that works both ways also. But as far as the automation of the lights and shows and things and sound effects, as I've told a few times, back in the days before Fantasmic, at Disneyland, you used to be able to ask the ride folks on the Mark Twain, "What time is the fireworks cruise?" And they would give you a particular departure time to be there for. The Twain back into the back of the river over by the Indian village and stop. And they would pipe in the soundtrack of the fireworks show. And you'd be right there, just the other side of some trees from where it's launched off, and get an entirely different perspective and hear the music and enjoy it. But they didn't turn the Indian village off. And while you were sitting there waiting, there they were dancing up a storm, and the chanting, when you heard it all by itself outside of the context of I'm going by quick on the boat, but just sitting there, it sounded like they were saying, "Go away, go away, go away." And everybody always used to crack up about that. But it ran, and I doubt they ever turned it off.
And folks, we have come to the end yet again. Another video of excellence in the can. What a joy it has been to share time with you. We hope you enjoyed it as well. If so, consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. And as always, drop a comment down below. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste not yours. Join a community dialogue today, just on down below. Folks, we are going to say farewell for now, but we will see you back. 4 is more, and that's how many videos we put out every single day here on the Pro Channel. Hope you enjoy them all. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.